opposition to the rule and its underlying legislation.
Without objection, so ordered, and the gentleman from Texas is again charged with the
Thank you,
time.
Mr. Speaker. I yield to the gentleman from Florida for a unanimous consent request.
Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks and submit my statement to the record on this job-killing bill that cuts Medicare, piles debt on our children, raises health care costs, and raises taxes on the American people.
Without objection, so ordered, the gentleman from Texas is
Thank you,
again
Mr. Speaker. I
charged.
yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so very much. Mr. Speaker, we are here on the floor today to debate the government takeover of health care in America. We understand that this bill is about a massive tax increase, $740 billion. We understand it's about deep Medicare cuts, some $430 billion. We also understand that millions of jobs will be lost and that mandates for purchasing insurance will cost an incredible $1.2 billion, and that there will be 118 new federal bureaucracies created by this legislation. The gentleman from Massachusetts came down and talked about the evil insurance companies. Well, the fact of the matter is the largest 6 insurance companies in this country made about $6 billion 2 years ago, but the federal government in their mismanagement lost $90 billion. Mr. Speaker, we know who can best take care of the health care for our country. For the past 5 months, the American people have called out, witnessed, and taken part in town hall meetings and calling the Capitol and their members of Congress about the outrage to the Democrat health care proposal. But here we are today. Month after month, this country has bled jobs. We are now at a record 10.2% unemployment rate and over 15 million Americans currently unemployed. And what do? We stick it to them again. Mr. Speaker, last night I offered an amendment in the Rules Committee that would have prohibited any provisions of this bill to take place if the Office of Management and Budget, in working with the Department of Labor, found that this bill would result in 4 million jobs or more being lost. But my Democrat opponents defeated that. That means that they really could care less how many jobs are lost in America as a result of this legislation. They want a government-controlled and run health care system. Chairman Rangel, chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, was up before Rules last night. He admitted in the Rules Committee that he had not asked the CBO or any other independent source for employment implications of this bill. Yet Republicans, using the same economic forecast and econometric models that the White House uses, we find that there would be between 4 and 5 million free enterprise system jobs that would be lost. During a time of recession where every single American is trying to make ends meet, what do we find? $730 billion in new taxes that are on this bill. Taxes on small business, taxes on health savings accounts, and the worst part is that this will surely lead to a double dip in the recession. This is a problem not only for employers, but it will be a problem for people who want to find jobs. Mr. Speaker, this is a hard mandate on business, and it means that the free enterprise system will simply not employ more Americans. We are concerned about this. We are on the floor today, Republicans, and we are going to stand and say no to what is happening. The bottom line is, Mr. Speaker, is this legislation for health care will do for health care what the stimulus did for jobs, the diminishment of employment in America. We reserve our time.
Gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at this time I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the distinguished gentleman from Miami, the gentleman, member of the Rules Committee, Mr. Diaz-Balart.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, and good day to you, Mr. Distinguished Speaker. It is clear that Congress needs to make reforms to expand health care coverage so that everyone in this great nation has health insurance. The problem with the legislation the majority is bringing to the floor today is that it will seriously and unnecessarily hurt our economy. It will cause severe job losses, and that's most unfortunate. The Republican alternative has some very good aspects. It will expand health care coverage to millions who currently do not have it, and it does not include the fatal flaw in the Democrats' bill: massive tax increases on small businesses. tax increases and regulations that will kill jobs. The Republican alternative allows small businesses to pool together, allows people to buy insurance across state lines. According to the Congressional Budget Office, it actually brings down the cost of health care premiums. The Democrats' bill will raise taxes, according to the CBO, by over $700 billion and cut Medicare by approximately $500 billion. It will make much worse our economic situation, increase unemployment, take the country in the wrong direction at a time when unemployment is already over 10%, especially, Mr. Speaker, when you consider that there is a bipartisan consensus in this nation on the need to increase access to health insurance to those who do not have it today. It is sad that this destructive legislative product is being brought to the floor. I yield back.
Time of the gentleman has condition.
Mr. Speaker, thanks so very much. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the gentlewoman's story. The other side of the story is it will be $730 billion worth of taxes. We will have a health care system where you will not be able to choose your own physician, where you will have to call someone to then find out which doctor you go to. And perhaps worst of all, the gentlewoman also needs to know, because we heard it in the Rules Committee last night, if you willingly make the decision that you do not want to participate and you do not pay the tax to the IRS, there's a penalty and fine that is a criminal penalty, up to 5 years in prison and up to $250,000 fine. That is not freedom. Criminalizing this issue is a bad way. And Mr. Speaker, the Democrats have it on the floor today. It is not in the Senate bill. It is in this bill. And so to glorify this bill, which would be criminal felony penalties, is a difficult way to have enforcement. Mr. Speaker, at this time I'd like to yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Miami Township, Mrs. Schmidt.
Gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, the American people are speaking and we must listen. An overwhelming majority are against this bill. Americans know health care costs won't be reduced because our Congressional Budget Office told all of us so. They fear their insurance premiums will rise and they don't want their hard-earned tax dollars to go to pay for abortions. Our seniors do not want the $500 billion cost cuts to Medicare or the cuts to Medicare Advantage, a program 17,000 seniors in my district currently enjoy. Our youth do not want to spend the rest of their lives to pay for the trillion-dollar costs embedded in this bill. Mr. Speaker, the American people are speaking and we must listen. We must say no to this trillion-dollar takeover of our health care. We can do better, and I yield back my time.
Time of the gentlewoman has